Hello, friends, and welcome to Sleep Tight Stories. Puddles and Splash are back and heading out to enjoy a sunny day after way too much rain. It has been raining far more than normal on the farm, and when the animals wake up and see the sun, they can't wait to get out of the barn and enjoy it. Puddles and Splash get them all out of the barn safely and then start their rounds to check on the stream to make sure it hasn't overflown. As they are enjoying a walk in the sunshine, Bubbles comes running towards them, and they both wonder, what now? Puddles and Splash, the mystery of the missing apples. It was early morning, and the animals were shuffling about, waiting for Chester, the old rooster, to announce, the only way he knew how, that it was time to wake up and start the day. This morning, the light was not as bright as it was at the start of summer, but everyone still looked forward to having the chance to go out and play. Especially this morning, because the sun was shining bright for the first time in what felt like ages. It had been an unusually wet summer on the Hampshire farm. Though most of the animals liked to play in the mud, with the constant rain, the animals' moods had turned dreary and down. But with the sight of sunbeams shining through the cracks in the barn door, their spirits immediately lifted. Talk of a game of ball in the field started to mingle amongst the gentle sounds of the chickens cooing, the pigs snuffling and oinking, and the cows lowing and mooing. "Cock-a-doodle-doo," yelled Chester. "Sun's a-rising, day's begun. Rise and shine, let's have some fun. Feathers fluff and hooves a-hop. Time to play a game. Don't you stop." As Splash pulled open the squeaky barn door, the fresh smell of wet, muddy grass wafted in, and the sounds of chirping birds, buzzing bees, and all manner of insects filled the air. All the animals and insects outside were also excited to see the sun shining so brightly. Every summer morning, rain or shine, was much the same, with the big animals walking out of the barn first, followed by the pigs, and finally the chickens. Splash, the strongest farm dog you might ever meet, guided them safely out the door lest someone get underneath a large cow's hooves. Splash, his young pig helper, helped from the inside, reminding everyone to be patient and take their time as they went outside to have their morning meal. "Okay, you know the drill, big animals out first. We don't want any cows stepping on the small animals," barked Splash. "Please hurry," one of the chickens said, trying to get in front of the cows. "I feel like I have been stuck in a chicken coop. I need some fresh air. The pigs were making stinks all night long." "Be patient," Chester the rooster said from his station on top of a bale of hay. "Are you sure it wasn't you chickens making all the stinks?" Puddles said as he guided the piglets towards the door. "Yeah, us pigs are the cleanest animals on the farm," said another. "You might be clean, but you sure do make big stinks," one of the cows said just before she hopped towards a bale of fresh hay left out by Farmer Vernon. As the chickens and pigs slowly made their way, the cows excitedly jumped one by one out the barn door, just like a pack of puppies, and started immediately enjoying their breakfast of fresh hay and clover. The fastest cow was Bubbles, a young, mischievous calf who was always hungry. Next, the chickens fluttered out, followed by the pigs led by Puddles, Splash's helper, and the youngest of the drove. The chickens stayed close to the barn where Farmer Vernon spread some seed. The pigs stayed together, drinking water from the outside trough and enjoying all the different vegetables left for them to eat. All the animals were excited to see the sun, especially the chickens, who preferred to keep their feathers free from rain and mud. They were always too concerned with their appearance. The farm, located on Prince Edward Island, was like a big, cozy home for all the animals. It was surrounded by wide, open fields, which, this time of the year, looked like a sea of grass swaying in the wind. The island is known for its rich, fertile soil, which yields tons of potatoes, something for which it is famous. And when the sun sets, the sky turns all sorts of beautiful colors, like oranges, pinks, and purples, making the farm feel extra cozy as the animals go to bed. Puddles walked over to where Splash was sitting and watching over the animals as they went about their morning routine. "Did you have enough breakfast this morning?" Splash asked. "We have a full day ahead of us, and you are a young, growing pig, so you need your vegetables." "I'm a fast eater," Puddles said. "So, what are we doing today?" "Well, we should check the stream that runs through the pasture over yonder and make sure it hasn't swollen over its banks. We wouldn't want the cows getting stuck in the mud, and they might want to wander off in that direction today since it's so sunny out." "Yes, that field usually has lots of sweet clover that the cows love, and they might be hungry if they play ball," Puddles replied. "That's right. After we check on the stream, Farmer Vernon might want us to stick close to the chickens. There have been some crafty foxes and sneaky raccoons in the area lately. We should be present to let them know the rules in case they come for a visit," Splash said, as he stretched out his front paws to get ready for their walk. Puddles was getting better at keeping up with Splash, but it was still a challenge for him to move his short little legs fast enough to keep up with the brisk pace that Splash set. After running across the soft, grassy field, they quickly came upon a bubbling stream that was surrounded in part by old pine trees. It was a waypoint for the animals, a place they would come to enjoy a fresh drink of water on their way toward the other fields that contained the sweet clover they loved. Farmer Vernon used to come and sit here and enjoy a break in the morning, bringing treats for him and Splash. But it had been raining so much this summer that he hadn't yet had the chance. "There's the stream up ahead," Splash said. "It looks fine, no major damages, but the ground feels pretty soft. It might be best if the cows stayed away for a couple of days. We wouldn't want one of the calves getting stuck in the mud." Puddles wanted to reply, but he was out of breath and was busy cleaning his feet after trotting through 2 cow pies on the way. Why couldn't cows do their business in one place? He complained to himself. Why don't we take the direct route back across the field and avoid the trails and fences? It's been a while since we could enjoy the sun while we walked through the tall grass, Splash announced. "Sounds good," Puddles said, finally catching his breath as he continued to wipe his feet on the grass. The ground got drier as they walked up from the hollow that contained the stream, allowing them to walk a little bit easier and faster. Puddles liked the mud, but it made it much more challenging to keep up with Splash and his big padded feet. Puddles often wondered if he wasn't part lion. The pads on his feet were so large. They walked in silence. Splash wasn't much of a talker when he was working, and when they reached the crest of a hill, roughly halfway across the field, they saw Bubbles, the young calf, running quickly to meet them. What trouble did he get into now? Splash sighed. Everyone liked Bubbles, but he had a tendency to cause all kinds of trouble, which in turn made more work for Splash and Puddles. I hope he didn't lead any of the other young calves into some kind of mischief, Puddles replied. Meeting them in the field, Bubbles said excitedly, "We have a problem, a really big problem, a disaster even." "What?" Splash asked with a look of concern. Puddles was worried. What could have happened while they were gone? They were only gone an hour. What could possibly have happened in such a short period of time? Even Bubbles couldn't cause trouble that quickly, could he? Letting out a sigh, Splash said in a serious tone, "Calm down and tell us what happened." Well, we were about to have a game of soccer when one of the cows suggested that we go eat a few apples from the apple grove that borders the field next to where we play. As you both know, the apples fall gradually throughout late summer and into fall from the trees, which makes them quite easy to reach on this side of the fence. As has been our tradition, all the animals get a chance to have a taste. It's an incredibly important treat for us, and one that we have been enjoying for as long as Farmer Vernon has had the farm, Bubbles said with a tone of concern. "We know all this, Bubbles. Please get to the point," Splash said. Right. When we arrived to have our treat, all of the apples were gone." "Did you look up?" Puddles asked. "Maybe they just haven't fallen from the tree yet. It's been wet. Maybe that has delayed their dropping from the trees. All it will take is a bit more time and a stiff wind." "No, that's just it. I mean, the apples were there the other day because, well, I went and had a couple when everybody was eating hay," Bubbles said sheepishly, knowing that he was supposed to share the treats and not be selfish. But now they are all gone, and not just the ones on the ground, but all the ones on the trees on both sides of the fence. "How could that be possible?" Puddles asked. "The trees were full of small apples the last time Splash and I walked by there last week. Farmer Vernon leaves them for us, and I have only heard of him picking apples from the trees close to his house." "No, I'm sure it wasn't Farmer Vernon." "Well, this is pretty serious, so let's get over there quickly and have a look for ourselves," Splash said, as he started to walk ever more briskly than normal. Puddles ran as fast as he could to try and keep up with Bubbles, the fastest cow on the farm, and Splash, who seemed to be good at just about everything. Puddles considered himself very intelligent and hoped to be smarter than Dr. Julius Strangepork one day. However, keeping up with Bubbles and Splash was always a challenge. When they arrived, a small crowd had gathered where the apples should have been. "What happened to all the apples? Do you have any ideas, Splash?" one of the older cows said. "I just got here and am as surprised as you all look to be," Splash said as he surveyed the area. "This is our yearly tradition," a pig said. "Where could the apples have gone?" "After all this rain, a sweet treat like this would have been a great way to bring some cheer," said a chicken hopping about. The rest of the animals mumbled in agreement. "Okay, Give us some time, and we will see if we can find an answer. Why don't you all go back and play a game of soccer while we find an answer to the mystery?" As all the animals that had gathered started to make their way back to the other field to play soccer, Betsy, the lonely cow that was left behind by a farmer next door, came over to talk to Puddles. "I'm not familiar with the traditions that we have on the farm yet, but while I was roaming through the back fields, I did come upon a grove of apple trees hidden amongst the forest at the back of the farm. I could show you where the trees are, I think, but how we could get the apples back to where we could all eat them, I don't know," Betsy said. Before Puddles could reply, Splash quickly bounded back. "It looks like we have a clue. I found many, many tracks around the tree, and not tracks from our chickens, cows, or pigs." "What could it be?" Puddles asked. "The scent I smell is fox and raccoon, and not just a couple, but many," Splash replied. "But foxes and raccoons don't get along," Puddles said with surprise. "If what I suspect is true, then we have a big, big problem." And that is the end of this part. Good night. Sleep tight.